everybody and welcome to another Transformers third-party review. In today's video, thanks to the team over at Robot Kingdom, I'm taking a look at the Zeta toys ZA-01 Armageddon Takeoff. This is Zeta Toys' interpretation of a masterpiece style, I guess? Blastoff from the Combaticons. Zeta Toys, this is actually their first product, and they used to be the design team for Toy World, but for whatever reason they had a difference of opinion or falling out over money. Believe what you want to believe, but they've brought us this as their first product. Now initially I saw Kathleen's Clutter, she got hold of some of the early samples and I saw them and I wasn't exactly blown away as such, and I was all like, oh, I'm definitely camp unique toys for my Bruticus. And then I saw how good the Zeta Toys Bruticus looked combined in those test shot images, and yeah, I may have been eating my words slightly. So I thought I'd give him a go. They had him on Robot Kingdom and I thought, yes, let's take a look. So the box itself is a nice solid box, pretty much exactly like we got with the Toy World boxes, surprisingly enough. We have a product shot on the side, not a very good shot, really. It's not the best photography in the world ever, but it will do. And of course we do get a huge version of Bruticus for the box art, which is nice. It does encourage people to keep hold of their boxes, and something that Zeta Toys are offering which no other third party in my knowledge are offering is, if we take a look at the bottom of my box, I have a serial number and a barcode here. Basically each one of these which is bought from your retailer has a unique serial number, so if something goes wrong you can quote this serial number. Now I know the ones that are available within China, say like on Taobao or AliExpress, they don't have these serial numbers, so you won't be able to get replacement parts. You have to go through an official retailer or reseller, which I think is in some minds good, because you do have that security. If something goes wrong, you know you're going to get replacement parts, but at the same time you may be paying a little bit more. Generally the ones you get from China on the cheap are just that, they are on the cheap, and you don't really have any great comeback. It comes in a nice foam insert, which I definitely think is the way of the future. I hate the plastic clamshells. These are nice and light, probably just as light as the plastic, and everything comes packaged remarkably well. My first experience with these foam was with the 3A figures, and I thought, oh, that's a really good idea, and I love the fact that the smaller third-party companies, etc., have adopted this same technique. Accessory-wise, he comes with a very nice set of instructions. They're very easy to follow. You know me, I'm not the best at following instructions, just ask my wife. But these are really nice, clean and easy to follow, but of course still watch my videos, still watch my instructions, yes, definitely. And the cards, I don't like the card they've provided. It feels somewhat flimsy. I would have preferred this to have been laminated, but that being said, I'm not a card collector. I know some of you are, and a lot of you kind of put these into protective sleeves anyway. So yes, there's a card. Gun-wise, he comes with his blaster. Really nice kind of paint applications on there. It's not an amazing gun. It's very kind of G1, kind of masterpiece inspired, minimalistic, I guess, but it does the job. And we also get two of these kind of cannons as well. They all have these handles, so we can attach them to his fists, and these just peg in either side of his legs like so, kind of like a heavy artillery mode. Now Takeoff himself, I am very pleasantly surprised. In my personal opinion, I absolutely love my Toy World Devastator. He is remarkable, but that being said, I think this is made better. I think the plastic quality has improved somewhat. There's a lot of heft in here, lots of good use of die cast. They haven't just put die cast in for the sake of having die cast. They've used it around the legs, the thighs, where you need it for stability. They've really thought it out quite well. He does have a somewhat cluttered appearance in his bot mode with these wings on the legs, etc., and he doesn't really strike me as having a G1 likeness, but they do have this very kind of Studio Ox inspired feel to their figures. I mean, I had to get this because have you seen their Superion? Oh my goodness, that guy is going to sell out like hotcakes. It is literally G1 shells on a massive combiner. Looks glorious. Yes, Takeoff. He's a good looking figure, and I mean there's a lot of heft to him, and he has an amazing array of articulation as well. Size wise, he is massive. I mean, that is perfect, isn't it? These are the Decepticon army. This is Starscream's brigade. And that is an incredible scale that we've got going on there. I mean, on that note, don't write unique toys, guys. Out of this, you can rotate the upper thigh so that it's facing downwards, and you do get that much more clearance, I guess. It does leave this rather unsightly gap in the legs, but it does make him that much taller. Great thank you to Colin Hobbs for pointing that out to me. I know it's not a great amount, but it may be just that little bit extra that you're waiting for to make this scale with your masterpiece collection. Here they are with their extended leg joints. Swindle definitely gets away with it a lot more because you can just bring his Jeep cab section down, but I was happy with how these two looked until I got Takeoff, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is the scale that they should be. I love unique toys. I love how these look. I love this G1 likeness that they've got going on there. I mean, it is absolutely spot on in my opinion, and they definitely win the animation likeness awards. But size-wise, I need this guy in my collection to dominate the Combiner Wars, so to speak. Combiner Wars, yeah, no copyright infringement intended, Hasbro. Let's just take a closer look. The head sculpt is nice. It's somewhat elongated, I guess. It looks like he's had his cheeks sucked in a fraction, but there's a nice, really stiff rotation on there. We've got a nice tilt going on. We can get a fairly okay-ish upward motion. Downward motion, again, is okay-ish. This is the drawback, I guess, of using a ball mount on there. I believe we have kind of a semi-translucent plastic going on there. It's more of a smoked plastic on the back, which is a little bit unnecessary, I think, just because the eyes are painted, so it seems somewhat of a wasted attempt at light piping. The shoulders, we do have a friction joint going forwards. We do have this friction joint going upwards as well. Within the shoulder itself, we get ridiculously tight use of ratchets. We do get a double jointed elbow, but I can't help but feel that the arms needed to be a fraction longer to make full use of this additional joint at the base there. You can bring it up, then you can bring it up again, but you're kind of left with just over a 90-degree bend. I feel like you're just missing out slightly there. It feels like they just need to extend just a fraction. Let's not forget the upper bicep rotation on that mushroom peg. And we do get a wrist rotation. The hands can come open and close. The fingers are all pinned, but they are very nice looking hands, very clean. Let's just come round to the waist. The waist can rotate. No abdominal crunch on that waist though. We have front and rear hip skirts with a nice friction jointed leg. Comes out to the side on a nice soft ratchet. Upper thigh rotation. And a nice ratcheted bend at the knee. Coming down to the feet, we have a separate toe and heel spur. The back section can maneuver, this section can come down and out, and this can pivot left and right, and we can go forwards and backwards. The forward and backwards motion isn't really that deep, but it's substantial enough for a good pose, and we do have an additional piece of articulation on the toes. So you can get him in a rather nice diving pew pew pose. And yes, that is an official term. For all of you weight junkies out there, Takeoff weighs in at a very reasonable 480 grams. That's 16.92 ounces and 1.057 pounds. And from toe to tip of that rocket backpack, we're looking at 9 inches. That's 22.5 centimeters. Now, before I get him transformed up, just like to have a look at some of this detailing. I love these smoked sections on the chest here. You've got the kind of circuitry in deep behind them. He doesn't have an horrendous side profile. Yes, we've got the big jet thrusters on here, but the backpack section isn't that untoward. The only unsightly part really is the side of these legs. I don't really know how we can personally avoid this. I can't see a way around it. I would have liked even to have the option to detach these. I know that would have been some parts forming, but it may have given him a slightly more G1 aesthetic and made him somewhat more streamlined. But I'm not going to be a hater. This is going to be in Bruticus mode. There is no ifs and buts. I know some of you with money have your Devastator. You have like maybe 2 or 3 versions of it, so you can have them in his bot and vehicle modes, because they really did nail those. They definitely had that G1 look to them. It was only when you got them fully combined to Devastator or Constructor that he had more of a Studio Ox inspired look. This definitely has the Ox look in his robot mode, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's just not for me. Another thing I'd like to point out is we've got these soft ratchets on the thighs, but the clicks are fantastic. I mean, we've got such a small gap there, and the feet can just twist, and that gives it such a natural pose. Kingzilla, that I reviewed yesterday, he had a fairly wide gap between the initial legs together and legs out. This is how you do it. Now, to get him transformed up into shuttle mode, you want to have the arms straight and brought out to the front. Coming to the side here, we have the shuttle tab section. We can just open up the arm, flip this shuttle outwards. As we bring it outwards, we rotate it around. The fist is going to slide inwards, and the gap that we've just made from bringing out the shuttle can now be filled with the fist, and we can just push and close the inner workings of the wrist to fill this gap, and then bring the shuttle nose cone outwards. Bring the arms out on this ratchet, extend this piece over, and then this tab on top is going to open upwards and come up to a right angle. We're then going to flip this panel down and rotate this piece all the way around, and that's going to close off this section here. Bring the shuttle landing gear outwards, and then bring this shoulder up and over. Bringing these arms up, we have an overlap point here where it tabs inwards, and we can also tab in these 2 sections of the landing gear. And that just pulls in nice and tightly like this. Bring the backpack up, and we've got 4 tabs and 4 holes. They all line up with the corresponding slots, and then we can bring the top of the shuttle up and over. It's just a matter of just tabbing all of these in nice and tight. Now, making sure the legs are separated, bring this front of the shin forwards, bring the toes up onto the shins. This jet thruster is going to rock on this hinge, and then this whole piece here, with a little help, can just be brought forwards. We have this inner shin section here that is going to be brought out and rotated down. It's on a ball joint, and you just need to pull and work it into this groove piece here. Using a combination of hinges, we can pull this piece outwards, pull this upwards, and bring this out. Flip it over and rotate it back on itself. It's going to line up nicely, and that's going to form part of the shuttle. With all of this area freed up, we can now bring the leg joint inside like this, so it completely fills up this area. Bring the heel of the toe upwards and we can just rotate this in on this hinge here, and that's going to come in and just disappear nicely inside the leg, and then we can close this piece off, covering up all of those inner workings, and bring this back section down, hiding everything in plain sight. Bring this thruster piece down, and these are now going to line up and tab together at various different points, but when it does tab together, it tabs together remarkably well. Just push everything in, flip the rear landing gear pieces down, bend this section up and over, and there's a small circular tab that is going to line up with the front section, tabbing nicely into place. We can then rock this piece downwards and then finally bring this round on its double hinge, tab in at the end here, and then finally bring down these roof tab sections, tabbing those nicely into place, and finally bring down these tabs on the underside and just click everything in firmly. Just make sure all of the tabs are in as they should be. There we go, everything is in nice and firmly. Now the options with these guns, they show in the instructions that they tab into these holes here, which is okay, but they show them using this long tab, which is designed to go in hands, so you can pop that in like so, but you have a big tab section sticking out. I like to just bring the handles over to the back and mount them on the side of the shuttle like so. I mean, there are other options. We can mount them as if he were a seeker, for example. You can mount them on the underside of the wings like this, and they still clear the landing gear. In fact, actually, I think that's going to be my preferred placement for these guns. The downside being I don't know of a location where we can store his brown rifle. I really don't know where it could go. I mean, it's designed to slide in under here, but I thought maybe there might be somewhere for it to go whilst we have the landing gear down, but apparently I was incorrect. Anyway, here we have takeoff in his shuttle mode. He looks incredible. What a ruddy good look for him. I love how they've got these hinges here, and they're actually done to look like windows along the side. All of these additional rivets along the top. Yes, it does have the odd gap. It may be that I haven't quite tabbed in everything as thoroughly as it should do. A lovely nose cone on there, and again you've got these really nice big wide windscreen at the front there. Coming around to the back, what a gorgeous natural curve on the rear here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thrusters. We've got some nice detailing on the rear of the thruster. And just going to the underside, I know we used a lot of tabs, but what an incredibly clean look for a figure. I mean, there is no robot mode visible at all. Yes, there's a lot of folding and a lot of shell, I guess, but this definitely makes up for that leg kibble in his robot mode. And as for scale, here he is alongside Skywarp and Transportation Captain. He actually scales incredibly well. I love how he looks. I can't even begin to tell you how good it is to have such a huge version of Blastoff in my hand. I mean, it's definitely one of the biggest things I've held in my hand for a long time. For those of you concerned about length, he is from tip to toe around 10.5 inches. That's about 26, 27 centimeters, with a wingspan of around 8 inches. That's about 20 centimeters. And with the landing gear put away, you can just see how he looks with this kind of gun floating around on the underside. It's not amazing, but it's storage for him if you choose to have it. And these ports here look like they could be used for some form of flight stand. We don't have anything included with him, but it would definitely look the part anyway. Right, I'm going to remove these guns because I'm not going to have him displayed in this glorious shuttle mode. I'm going to have him displayed as part of Bruticus. So from here, let's get him changed up into his limb mode. Start by lifting these panels up to the top, and you want to untab these pieces from here. And again, on the underside, you want to just grab hold of these. I like to pop them through from the other side. It's definitely a lot easier than fiddling around with this joint here. The wings fold up in a specific order. You fold up this piece into here, and that's going to just tab in. You then untab this front section, bring that up and over. With this piece brought all the way back again to the rear, you can then bring the wing panel section over like so, making sure the landing gear is put away. We can then bring these pieces back over and tab those back in. You need a nail of some description, or maybe just a screwdriver, just to poke this at the end here and allow us just to grab enough grip here. This is going to lift back on itself, and then we're going to just separate this part here. So we just untab, and they are going to separate from each other as well. So this is up, with these sections completely opened up. I'm going to keep this piece here to the front, which allows us to bring this through on its hinge, and then we can just rotate it back around on itself, and it's going to tab in like this. Now you need to pull this section out from here. This is the combiner ports, and as you can see, I've got screwdriver marks and goodness knows what on here because it is just way too stiff. This hinge here, yes, it's amazing having super tight joints, but you have to physically be able to get to it. The easiest way to do that would have been to have been able to pop this section out from the inside, but you really can't get to it, so you have to give it a lot of brute force and ignorance. It's bent over at this angle like this, and that's inside there. I am no way putting that back in. So yes, there we have a combiner port. We then want to rotate the waist 180 degrees, tab the shuttle section back down with this piece going down first because it's got this retaining tab underneath. So straighten all these hinges out, and these are just going to slide in and tab in together, tidying all of that up. Split the legs. You want to untab the tail fin and bring that down back into this piece here. This is going to lift up and come out of the way. This is going to untab, lift up and come out of the way. And we have this nice little gap here on both sides, and that's where the fist is going to go. And just closing that off, there would be a fist here, and that would form the arm. Now, I'm not really sure why we didn't get the fist included. I'm assuming it's going to come with their onslaught maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but that is a very substantial size for an arm. These don't really tab in. They should just kind of slot onto there, but they don't really want to stay as well as I would like. Kind of just position themselves there, but it's a really clean look to him, and nice hidden joint there. Look at that. Love that piston moving in and out, and that is a fantastic ratchet joint. We do have that rotation on the forearm, we would have the rotation on the fist, and of course we'd have that really super tight joint on there, and that would also be able to rotate within Onslaught's body. So that is an incredible piece of engineering. And again, just to give you an idea of the size of this piece, that's Starscream struggling to build his brigade. So there we have it. At first I was somewhat skeptical, but having this guy in hand, I am extremely excited for the rest of their Bruticus and of course their Superion. It makes me somewhat glad they separated from Toy World. I do like Toy World, I like some of their products, not all, some, and Zeta Toys seem to have taken the best bits and made them even better. This guy is completely solid, the engineering is flawless, and he looks the part in all 3 modes. He does have that kibble in his bot mode, but he doesn't look untoward. It's nothing really that you can't get your head around, and if you want a very good Bruticus in your collection, which is going to scale with your Masterpiece figures, we definitely have a very good contender. Thanks again to Robot Kingdom for making this review possible. If you would like to purchase this product, I've included a link in the description below, and from myself and Takeoff. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.